Hi, I'm Sofia Bernardi, mindset and business coach supporting ambitious new and rising coaches to master their mindset, create an aligned and profitable strategy, and grow a six-figure business and beyond using the Rising Coach method. I built a $500,000 business by the age of 24, and in this podcast, I will teach you the psychology, strategy, and energetics to do the same. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi. Today, I am so excited to be introducing you to my dear client, Madeline Brown. Madeline is an introvert business coach, so she helps courageous introverts get out of the wishing and wanting, letting go of the stories that have held them back, and supporting them to create their service-based business of their dreams while bringing in consistent income each month. So she helps introverted business owners to make consistent $2,000 months in their business, which is super inspiring because, you know, when you first start out in business, that's what you want, right? You just want to sign your first clients. You just want to get some momentum going. And that's exactly what Madeline does because she has done that time and time again. You know, when I first started working with her, she was super keen to just create a marketing strategy that felt really aligned for her because in the past she had been taught strategies that just didn't feel good for her being an introvert and just her personality and lifestyle desires as well, right? So we came together and I supported her to create a marketing strategy that really aligns with her vision, her mission, her goals because she's really impact orientated. She ran her first event 3 weeks after working with me and she made $8,000 and since then she's been super consistent, fully booked all the time, and she inspires me like no one else. She travels the world, you know, she really is the perfect embodiment of what she says is what she does. So if you are an introverted business owner, you're in the very early stages, you're just starting out, you've got a lot of fear and doubt creeping in, you're going to love this episode because we really debunk that, we normalize that, we support you out of that in this episode. And hearing her story, her mindset shifts and what supported her to, you know, create a business and lifestyle of her dreams and desires that, you know, where the life and business really get to play and go hand in hand with one another. It's just super inspiring and I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode and really learn what is possible when you go all in on your dreams like Madeline has. Enjoy this episode. As you know, if you like it, please subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. Share it on your Instagram stories. Tag Madeline and I. We would love to connect with you. It's always nice to hear who's behind, you know, the headphones listening to the episode. It means the world to me when you share it around, and I'm just so excited for you to dive deep into this episode. Let's do it. Yay! Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me, Sofia.
I'm so excited about this. So, I just introed you before we started, and I'm really excited for my entire audience to get to know who is Madeline, what does she do, how does she help people, how is she, you know, really inspiring and impacting lives, because I know that that is something you're really big on. You speak in, and most of your piece of content is like impact, right? And that's why I love working with you, because I love working with coaches that are in it, yes, to make lots of money, yes, to, you know, create that freedom-based lifestyle, but then ultimately also to actually make a difference, like leave a mark and help people. And I know that that's super important to you. And because I work with you behind the scenes, I really get to see your care factor, and I'm excited for more people to experience that today. So let's dive in. Did you want to share a little bit about, you know, who you are and your journey on how you actually became a coach helping, you know, introverted business owners to grow their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I would say my journey started roughly closer to 7 years ago. That's when I realized, like, for the first time that I wanted something of my own. I wanted to create a business of some sort, but at that point, I had no idea what that would be because I had no idea what the online space was like. I did not know that you could be a coach in anything. I did not know you could be a virtual assistant. And so I was kind of in this cycle for 5 years where like I would get really, 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 really close to like starting an online business of sorts. I would go down some rabbit hole. And then like the thought of like, oh, you can't do that. Like, oh, but you have to have a social media presence. Oh, you have no idea what you're doing. You're not qualified. Like, all of that would start to cycle in my brain. So then I would like kind of start the cycle all over again and like go about life being a little bit content with what I'm doing. Like, oh, I could work a 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. And then like that little thought bubble would like start in my head, like, oh my gosh, I need more. I want more for myself. I know I'm meant for, until eventually like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna freaking go for it. I'm going all in. And that's kind of where I got introduced into the online virtual assistant world. And from there, I found podcast management, which was just like so exciting. Absolutely loved it. I dove all into that, like learning how to edit, write show notes, the video editing, all of that. And through that, like I realized like how good I was at not only that, but also like finding clients and networking and like meeting different people online. And it wasn't too long after that too, where like I really dove deep into like a lot of the mindset work that goes behind creating a business of your own and finding different visibility strategies and just strategies in general that enable you to grow your business in a way that feels good for you. Because I know when I first started my business, it was like always me trying to do it someone else's way. And I was like, this doesn't work. And it took me a while to really kind of find a way that worked for me and essentially like create my business around my life and not my life around my business. And once I like really started to develop that myself and like uncover my own story in the process, like I was like, that's when I also knew I was like, okay, that's when like the thoughts started coming in again, where I'm like, okay, you're meant for more. You're meant to be doing more. You can help people in a much greater sense than what you're doing now. And you can help them to uncover their story and get them out of like that thought cycle and the wishing and wanting, like, and into the creation phase of their business and showing them how to do it in a way that feels authentic, but like is also going to lead to like sustainable growth. And that's kind of where the courageous introverts was born.
I love that story. And I can really attest to everything you've just said, that you truly practice and preach. You know, you're not just throwing around the thought of like, you know, wanting to create a freedom-based lifestyle or, you know, creating your business around your life. Like you actually do that. Like there's a kayak behind you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you travel a lot. You just did a whole trip around Europe, which is so exciting. Like you really practice what you preach. And I love that you listen to your body, you look after your body, you prioritize your lifestyle. I know you love being outdoors in nature, and you're just such a shining example of that you can have both. It's not one or the other. And it's actually when you have a sustainable business model, you have a strategy that feels good for you, you have support around you, that you actually can have both, right? There are lots of people out there that get into business because they want the lifestyle and because that's their driving force. They don't really get anywhere, but you're really about both. You know, you want to help people, and because you focus on that, that actually allows you to live your life as well. And as you know, and like my audience will know as well, if they've listened to the podcast a lot, I talk a lot about embodiment and energetics and things like that. And when you are like, when what you say and what you do is in alignment and you are congruent with your values and, you know, your priorities, that's when things flow and work. And so I love that you were able to acknowledge, like, I'm doing business the way other people are telling me, it's not resonating with me. And when you have that driving thought, like, it's not going to work, right? And so I love that you listen to yourself and you found a way that really works for you. And now you help other people to do that as well, because you don't have to do business in this way that just does not feel good. Like it gets to feel good, right? And so I can just really attest to your story that you practice what you preach at a very deep level, and that's why you are where you are.
Yeah, exactly. And I always talk online about like the confident CEO version of yourself. Like, what are you gonna do today to like step into that frequency of you? Like, how can you show up? What do they say? What do they wear? What activities do they do? Who do they talk to? All of those things. And I'm always trying to have that version of myself come out.
100%. I think that that is so, so important. So I also love in your story that you share actually how long you spent prior to even starting a business, like thinking about it, worrying about it, having all those thoughts, because I think that's something a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs go through, is all of that fear and doubt. And so thank you for normalizing that, because we all go through those moments, even in entrepreneurship. We're like, should we be doing this? Like, should I just give up or something? And I'm just glad that, like, you finally trusted that voice within it and you went all in on it, and look where you are. And I know that when we first started working together, and you finally had like a process to follow, you then went and made like $8,000 in like a few weeks. And
Yeah.
that's what's possible when you make the decision, you go all in on it. So I think that that's super, super cool. You speak a lot about introverts. You like, call yourself an introvert. And I know that that's obviously who you help. Me being a total extrovert, I would love to hear, like, why is this topic so important to you? Like, why do you want to help introverts? And what does that look like in terms of showing up? I know it could be so easy for people to jump to the conclusion that introverts can't show up online, or don't show up online, or, they don't do video and things like that, which are really important qualities of, like, part of marketing and strategy, so people can build rapport with you. And I know you do all those things. You run events, you show up online consistently, like you're visible everywhere. Every time I go on social media, you're there, and that's what you need to do, right? And so, yeah, do you want to speak into like why introverts and what that looks like, and how you can show up despite labeling yourself as an introvert?
Totally. I think so much of it, like earlier when I was talking about like how it took me 5 years, like there was so many stories and things I was latching onto that were like preventing me from ever taking action. And a lot of that related to my introversion, like, oh, I'm too quiet for this. Like, I'm more of a fly on the wall sort of person. I'm just a back end support role. Like, I'm not meant to be like the face of the company. And I think just as time went on, I think like such a huge thing for me that like was like, I don't know what, saving grace, like the thing where I was like that aha moment where I was like, I don't need to do it like in this all or nothing sort of fashion. Like I always have options. I can always like just do little baby steps along the way, like creating this really safe, comfortable route for me to get to my final end goal. And also like there was so many things as I was creating my business where I realized like I was trying to do it someone else's way. And not to say that this person was an extrovert, but also being stuck kind of like in that comparison nitis or whatever you want to call it, of like feeling like I had to do someone else's way instead of like giving myself permission to figure out what way felt good for me, but was also, and this is where like the word courageous comes from, it's like doing it despite the fear that you feel.
Yes.
So not to say that I wasn't scared all the time when I did my first live challenge, like I was so scared and I confided in you and you're like, you got this, you can do it. And I was so scared, but I still did it despite feeling that fear. And that's where like the confidence piece came in. Like once I showed up and did it and like gave myself like the solid proof that I needed, like, hey, you can do this. Like, you know what you're doing. You're going to be okay. Once I like had that proof, like that confidence, like catapulted me forward. And I was like, okay, I know like I've been through this, I've experienced this. Like I know there are so many other introverts out there that are experiencing the same thing, but rest assured like whatever it is you're experiencing, like you can do it and there's different ways that you can do it that's going to work for you. And sometimes that just kind of takes time, letting things run their course and being able to get through it and seeing on the other side like, okay, this didn't feel good, I'm going to try it this way next. And that's kind of, it's like trial and error, and I'm still doing it in my business all the time.
We all are. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And, I think you're just such a great example for introverts who currently feel like, business might not be for them just because of, their personality type, I suppose. And you're just like, proof that, you can have the fear and do it anyway. And I love the word courage. It's one of my favorite words because, like you said, right, courage isn't like being completely fearless and super confident. It's like it's having the fear and doing it anyway. And so I love that you speak to that. So for any introverts that are maybe listening right now and that are really resonating with you and everything you're saying right now, what would be a piece of advice you'd give them if they are sitting there thinking that, they can't show up online because, they're not confident or they're not ready, or they're telling themselves those stories. Like, yeah, what advice would you give them to shift that to be able to show up online?
I would just like remind them something that I mentioned earlier is like you always have like an option. I know for me, the big reason I mentioned was not showing up, starting my online business was because I knew you had to have an online presence. And that terrified me. Like I absolutely did not want to do it. And that was like the main thing keeping me from starting my business in the first place. So when it came time for me to finally catapult myself in, like I started small. I didn't show up in all the places. Like I didn't go on Instagram and Facebook groups. Like I started in one spot and I went from there. And for
Mm.
me, that was starting on Instagram, and I did not show my face or even mention really about my personal life at all for like the first couple months. And I remember I didn't even share my first offer for a couple months because I just had to go that slow and take time for myself and just kind of like let myself regulate as it was going. And then eventually, like once that felt really safe for me and I was like, okay, I got this under my belt, then I moved to Facebook. And I remember when it came to share about my business on Facebook, I remember I had to go and delete like 300 friends because I was like, I don't want these people knowing this part of my life yet. And I remember at the time, like there was kind of like this, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, like kind of beating myself up over it. But at the same time, it was like, it's okay that I had to do that to be able to like make that next step forward in my business.
Mm.
And once I was able to start consistently sharing on my personal Facebook, it was like, okay, it's time to move my way into Facebook groups. And when it came to Facebook groups, like it really took testing the waters to find groups that like felt safe and good for me to show up in and express myself as who I was. And not all of them were like that. Some I was like, I don't really like the vibe of this one. So then I took the time to like go and find one where I did like the vibe and where I felt confident showing up. And it was just all about, it's like a slow process of figuring out what is going to work for you over time, and just having a lot of patience and self-compassion for yourself on this journey. I think that's also the biggest part, is just understanding like you're where you're meant to be at this point in your journey, and where you're at is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I love. Hi guys, I wanted to quickly interrupt this podcast episode to chat to you about my mastermind, Rise to Six. This is the mastermind for rising coaches plus service-based businesses who want to grow their business to consistent $10,000 months and beyond. This is the exact mastermind where I teach you the mindset, the strategy, and the energetics that supported me to build a multi-six-figure business in under 2 years. This mastermind is both a group container and a one-on-one container. I am so deeply committed to working very closely with my clients so that they feel deeply supported and get the results that they came for. I'm very, very passionate and committed to your results. So know that if you join this mastermind, that we're basically going to become best friends, because I'm going to be with you every step of the way. It is here that I teach you every single thing I do and have done to grow my business in a way that truly feels so authentic and so abundant and fun. I want this for you too, and this is exactly what you get when you join the mastermind Rise to Six. You can head to the show notes to click the link and learn more about the mastermind to see if it's for you, or come chat with me. Come message me on Instagram or Facebook and let's have a chat, see if the mastermind is for you. But in a nutshell, you have to be extremely committed. You have to be ready to grow your business, because that's what we're going to be doing. You have to be super kind, and you have to be a female coach or service provider. If you can tick those boxes, then this mastermind is absolutely for you, and I would love to chat with you. So head to the link in the show notes or come DM me and let's chat.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like the compassion piece is so important, because it's so easy to be so hard on ourselves. I know that that was definitely hand on heart my biggest problem when I first started my business. I was just so hard on myself all the time. Didn't celebrate anything, didn't acknowledge anything, just constantly put myself down. And so like now compassion is just the nicest thing, because like the alternative just doesn't help you, right? Like it just feels really crappy. So
Yeah.
fully resonate with that. Thank you for sharing. Now I know that part of your marketing strategy is running events, right? That's something I've really helped you with. And what did you have to overcome to feel confident doing that? Like you went from like being afraid to like just show your face online in general to then going live and like over like several days, at an event of yours and like help people on a particular topic. Like what did you have to come? What did that feel like? What did that look like? Tell us all the things.
For one, it was scary.
Yeah.
I was terrified, but I just took such good care of myself during that time, and I gave myself so much time to plan and prepare. That
Mm.
was so, so huge. I started planning and preparing for this event like probably like I don't know, maybe a month before it started happening. I can't remember the exacts, but like really working on the script, rehearsing my script and my outline, putting a lot of thought into the content that I was creating to share and like batch creating all the content. So when it came time for me to actually start promoting it, like I did not have to be coming up with anything on the spot. And then aside from like the event, just outside of it, it was just me making sure I was fed, making sure I was getting lots of rest, still prioritizing my health, getting outside, and then also like confiding in you. Like you helped walk me through a lot of the fear and the doubt and the overwhelm that was coming up as I was planning that event for myself.
I love that. And you know what? I remember, yeah, you planned for about 3 weeks and then
Mhm.
you ran the event and then you signed a whole heap of clients straight away, which was
Yeah.
cool. But what I love is that, yes, you planned so much, but you also like just leaned into the experience of like, there was still a lot of unknowns despite
Oh,
having
totally.
it was like early days of learning the process and you just dove right into it. It's like it's not like we're talking you waited months and months on end before you ran your first event. Like we started working together and 3 weeks later you ran your first event and then made
Yeah.
that money, right? So it's like at the same time, whilst you didn't have the full process yet, yes, you were organized because there was intentionality and care factor, but you were also just like willing to lean into the total discomfort. Like I remember joking with you after, it's like, okay, wow, you just made like 8,000 US dollars, but like there were like some core things that you had like didn't even have an opportunity to do. Like I remember we were laughing because you ran it like on your personal Facebook profile. And like usually I would say I recommend doing it like in a private group to create that community. And so that's like a big piece. And yet it still completely worked. And that's just what I loved is that you were willing to just like go in all in on it, like progress over perfection, and
Yeah.
and it worked. And I think when you go in, when you lean in with something and you've got some clarity, you've got the courage, that's when it really works. Like you really cared and you just helped people so much. And yeah, I'm so happy that that happened. And now you're about to run another event and you're going traveling again soon. Like you're just doing all the things, and events really allows you to do both, right? Because you can do them from anywhere. So that's really cool. How do you
Yeah.
feel like, oh yeah, you go.
Sorry. I think too why that event like went so great too also is because I was really seeing it. I didn't like have any attachment to any expectations, or I wasn't like
Mm.
I need to make this much money. It was more of like, well, I want to make this much money, but I wasn't attached to actually making it. I was more wanting to like see this as a learning experience. And I was like, if I happen to sign a client and make some money from it, it will be a win-win. But the real win is like this new experience, pushing myself to try new things while also learning so, so much while I was doing it. Like, I could not believe how much I was learning while I was creating that event.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm so glad you said that. Like, that's just such a big piece is that detachment. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make actually, is that you just like did it. Like you just leaned into it. And I think
Hmm.
that that is so important. You can really feel on someone's like side of things if they are really they need you, like, you know what I mean? Or there's desperation or attachment. Like attachment just like isn't attractive. It doesn't feel good. It really repels people. And so I love that is that you took all the pressure off of like you're doing this to help people. You're doing this for you. You're doing this for the experience, the learning, and like anything that happens from other than like outside of just running the event is a total bonus. Like that's so abundant. That mindset like really thrives in those environments. So thank you for sharing that because that's a huge piece of events, right? Is total detachment from the outcome.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel like your business changed when you did bring in events? Like what has shifted since that first event for you?
I feel like I have like an actual solid strategy
Mm,
that I know works. Whereas before the event, I was just kind of like pulling strings. Like I was like, well, this kind of works. I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and this works. I'm gonna do a little bit of that. But like nothing ever felt like completely solid to me and something that I had like the actual physical proof that it was working for me. There was so much of the time when I would get clients where I don't want to say it was by chance because like they did come to me because they wanted to work with me. But at the same time, like when I did the events, I was like, oh, this like is really working and it works really good. And
yeah.
I like doing it.
Yeah, 100%. So really just that clear strategy now, like you have a process to follow, which is really cool because when you have the clarity, that's now what enables you to help your clients is like you can help them with the same process or coming up with a process that feels good for them, right? Knowing that
Exactly.
everyone is different. And so whilst I teach, my clients how to run events, I know that that doesn't, resonate with everyone in any given moment. And so I love to personally tailor, people's marketing strategy to them and their goals, right? With where they're at. And I find that to be really important that you do the same. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
I would love for you to share 3 pieces of advice that you'd give to coaches or service-based business owners starting out with, business or running events, anything at all, like 3 pieces of advice that have made a huge difference for you on your journey that maybe you even teach your clients.
Okay. I think the huge one that's just honestly like it's like the underlying theme in almost everything I do, like even aside from business, just like my life, relationships, friendships, everything. And I already briefly mentioned it earlier, and like that's you are exactly where you're meant to be in this moment
Mm,
in time. That's a huge thing for me.
yes.
Another huge thing is that there is so much that you can't see right now. And like what you are doing right now in this moment is working and it's getting you to wherever it is that you're wanting to be. And I always come back to that when I'm doing like anything, absolutely anything. Like when I'm showing up live in my Facebook group and I'm just like, oh, this is just a normal Tuesday. I'm just showing up live. No one's watching it, whatever. But it's just like, okay, well, what was I doing last year? Like I was not doing this last year. And what was
That's
I
a
doing
cool
5 years?
thought.
Yeah, exactly. Like it might seem little now, but it's like all adding up to this greater picture of like where it is that you are wanting to take yourself and where your whatever your end goal or whatever future life, dream life, like it is getting you there. These small, tiny little actions that you're doing every single day are getting you there. And
Mm,
then third one, that's a good one. I feel like this kind of comes down to something too that I just do in my every single day, and that's like just do it scared, do it messy, just do it.
yeah.
And sometimes you just figure it out along the way, and like that's what makes the process so great. And I also think that's really ultimately like what attracts your ideal audience and clients to you is like you acting and doing the work in your true authentic self and like just having a lot of honesty for that.
100%. I agree with that. Like, just do it. Like, just leap.
Mhm.
When I think back on like, what has supported me to get to where I am, and I know what has supported you to get to where you are is literally just feeling the fear and doing it. Like, just doing it. Like, just taking messy, imperfect, uncertain action and just like leaning into that. And that in of itself creates the confidence, creates the certainty, and creates the results, right? So I love that you shared that because sometimes it is as simple as that. It's like, you feel like it's not working, you have no idea what you're doing right now, but just do it. Like, just lean into it. It's like, make the decision, take the leap, take the first step, and you'll figure it out from there. Like, whenever I'm feeling like overwhelmed or uncertain or doing something new for the first time, sometimes it's like it's literally just taking that first step and then you lean into it and then all of a sudden you've overcome it, you've completed it, whatever. And it's just like usually the pain is like all the build up before then. So it's like, isn't it crazy? Like you spent like 5 years dabbling, like whether you should start a business or not. And then all it
Yeah.
takes that one decision. And then like within weeks, your whole life was very, very different. Right. And like, that's
Yeah.
what's possible. So I find that to be so cool. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
I want my audience to get an opportunity to get to know you at a little bit of a deeper level if they're really resonating with everything you're saying right now, which I know that they are. So I thought it could be fun if I share with you some quick rapid fire questions so they can get to know you at a deeper
Oh
level.
boy. Let's do it.
All right. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I think what I'd want to be remembered for is just always being nice and kind-hearted and loving and just having an open heart to everyone I come across.
I love that so much. What is something that you are learning at the moment? Could be anything.
Ooh, something I'm learning, and I actually just reflected on this I shared a post on my Instagram stories, and it's like a huge win for me. But I'm learning how easy now, it didn't always feel easy, it is for me to create content.
Mm,
Content was so hard for me to create. And I've realized, and that I'm learning is a huge part of that was because I was always looking for inspiration outside of myself, whether through other people's content, their stories, you name
mm,
it. And I was failing to like look within and use my own stories and my lived experience to create content that's going to relate to my audience. And now I'm like, I'm learning I can like literally, and you even talked about it too, like you were talking about your rug. Like you can, the most mundane task, like you can create something that is going to resonate with your audience. And I was really reflecting on like how far I've come in that process and like how much I've learned and I'm still learning
yeah.
through that, which has been really fun and exciting because I remember when content was like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and I know for you, it's been this combination of like learning a skill set on how to create content, but then also just practice. Like you've written
Uh-huh.
so much content. It's like practice equals progress, right? So I think that
Exactly.
that's so awesome that it comes effortless to you now. And I love that you shared the backstory on that because so many people listen to other people and like, oh, this is so easy for this person. It comes so naturally for this person. It's like, well, no, like if it comes easy and natural, it's because they've really practiced it. They've really worked hard at it. They've invested time, energy, and often money to learn
Hmm.
how to get really good at something, right? And I think that's such an important piece of the puzzle. Is like, if you're listening to this right now and you want to be really good at content, well, like you've got to start before you're good at it. You've got to practice. You've got to be willing to write hundreds of pieces of content that flop and don't work, right? And I just think that
Exactly.
you're such a testament to that. So that's awesome. And also
Yeah.
just on that, like with AI and things, which, there's a time and place for that where it's really helpful. More than ever before, using your authentic voice is more important because everyone's content is going to be merged and so similar for the people that are relying on AI or relying on other people to like fuel their posts. Whereas if you're just coming from your heart, you're literally sharing what's on your mind, what's coming up for you, what you want to help people from without the lens of this needs to be perfect or look a certain way, but rather like, I just want to share this and put this out there and trust that like that unique messaging and voice and tonality of like how you write is how you talk kind of thing is going to be more impactful than ever before because it's just going to be such a standout from the perfected AI
Mhm.
kind of messaging and content.
Yeah, and exactly like people relate to people, like people relate
Mm.
to our unique experiences, and that's ultimately what they want to hear also.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. What is your favorite food?
Watermelon. I
What?
ate like a
That's so
half of one
random.
today.
I love that. I love watermelon as well. It's definitely my favorite fruit. Um,
I could eat it 24 like I actually had a conversation with friends where they're like if you could bring one food to a desert island and that's what you eat for the rest of your life, mine would always be watermelon,
oh,
always.
definitely. Like if you're going to a desert island, you'd want something that's like,
Yeah.
you know,
I have water too. I don't need to
exactly.
worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I know you love adventure and traveling a lot. So like what's your favorite destination that you have been to and want to go to?
Okay, so favorite destination that I have been to. I would say it would probably be my most recent trip where we went to Portugal. We spent some time in Portugal,
Mhm.
and I would so love to spend some more time there. I just really loved like the slow pace of life. Like everyone seems so unbusy and like just unbothered. And I just really love that. And just also like just the beaches there. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. And I'm not a city gal at all, but we spent some time in Lisbon and I was like, okay, this is probably the one city I've been to where I could see myself living.
I love
And
that.
then my future destination that I want to go, that I'm actually planning my next solo trip to, is Ecuador. I'm a whitewater kayaker and they have amazing whitewater kayaking down there. So I am working on doing a solo trip, hopefully there this winter, to go on a kayaking trip.
Amazing. And last question before we wrap up. What's one lesson that your business, like, and it can be like your specific niche kind of thing that, yeah, what's one lesson that your business has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Oh boy, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I've already really mentioned it a few times, but it really comes down to just like embracing the journey, like
Mm.
the messiness of it, the frustration, the overwhelm, the happiness of it though, and like celebrating every little step, no matter how tiny it may seem. Like I remember like I just celebrated 100 members in my Facebook group. Like that feels so huge. Yeah. And just like celebrating all those little micro wins and everything along the way, like that's a huge thing that my business has taught me too, because before, like I would have paid very little attention to those things in my everyday life, but
Mm,
now it's like I take note of everything and everything feels important to me, and I love that.
I love that so much. And
Mhm.
is there anything else you want to share with the audience today, before we share like how they can learn more about you and how they can work with you? Is there anything that has been left unsaid?
Mm, I've already said it, but if you are thinking about starting your business and you feel scared or you're a lot of fear and overwhelm, just do it. And I promise, like, you'll figure it out along the way and things will fall into place as they are meant to.
I love that. Amazing. So, for people that have really resonated with this conversation today and want to learn more about you, they want to follow their journey, like your journey, sorry, they want to work with you, like where is the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, so I spend a lot of time on Instagram, specifically Instagram stories. I'm always sharing lots of tidbits and just pictures of my juices that I juice in the morning and my adventures on there. And I love talking with people on there. I also hang out in my private Facebook group, Courageous Introverts. I love going live. I love communicating with people in there and just sharing the journey and having you guys a part of that. So if you'd like to connect in either of those places, I'd love to have you there.
You've also got a podcast.
Oh, I do have a podcast. I wasn't gonna bring it up though, because I am doing a little bit of rebranding with it on my own time. I haven't gotten there yet, but it is podcasting with impact. It is for quiet leaders who are wanting to start a podcast of their own, but eventually it will be rebranding to Courageous Introverts. It's just a matter of time.
Totally. That's very
Yeah.
exciting though. I just thought
Yes.
I would share that because people that are listening to the podcast usually love listening to other podcasts. So I thought
Yes.
I would mention that. And if they want to work with you, like what does your offer look like? How can they see if that, your program's the right fit for you? And everything you're mentioning, by the way, we're going to put in the show notes for everyone.
Yeah, totally. You can book a call with me and we can talk about what it's like to work in the Courageous Introvert program. Basically, together over the course of 4 months, we work on really getting you out of the wishing and wanting phase and into the creation phase of your business, and finding different visibility strategies that leave you feeling empowered and confident and just really most importantly full. I think that was a huge thing for me, was like feeling rather drained and depleted when I was showing up in my business, and that's not how I want you to show up. I want you showing up full because you're so confident in the action that you are taking in your business. So, yeah.
I love that so much. Madeline, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom, your learnings, your lessons, and everything in between. It's been such an honor. I'm so excited to hear people's feedback from this episode. And yeah, thank you just so much for being you.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to my brand new offer, Rise with Events, the ultimate program for planning, promoting, and presenting highly impactful online events to scale your coaching business sustainably. In this program, I'm going to be walking you through the online events formula, which is key to running sustainable and fun events that sign clients on repeat. With my proven formula, you'll learn the mindset necessary for a successful launch, the exact sales process I use in my own business, and how to create impactful events that align with your lifestyle and goals. You're going to learn everything it is you need when it comes to marketing, sales, and events so that you can grow your business and help more people. I have been running events from day one in my business where I signed my first clients and now make anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000 in a month. I want this for you too. I have had several clients now who have made $5,000 from an event, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 per event. And this is all what is possible for you too when you join Rise with Events. You can learn everything it is you need to know about this program. If you join now, you're going to be getting both the live version of this program, which I'm only going to be doing once, and you get lifetime access to the course as well, which you'll get immediate access to when you join now. We are currently on early bird offer and I would love to support you. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more about this program and feel free to DM me with any questions you may have. I hope to see you there.